So there was a massive protest at the Capitol because, of course, the Republicans are effectively trying to destroy Medicaid. Now, what is Medicaid? Medicaid is health care for low-income people and disabled people. It's one of the things that's holding this country together with duct tape and bubblegum, right? You have Medicare, you have Medicaid, you have Social Security. These programs are so crucial, so vital to our country continuing to function. And of course, the Republicans want to cut every single one of these things. That's what they want to do. They want to give all the money to the robber barons and the billionaires and take every last penny from regular people, right? And so they're in the process of passing this giant Medicaid cut, and you had a bunch of people on Medicaid come to have their voices heard. Let's watch. So for everybody just listening podcast audio, you have a bunch of people here, a lot of them in wheelchairs, who are disabled, who rely on Medicaid, who are basically screaming. They're saying, don't cut Medicaid. Dozens of protesters have been arrested after disrupting the House Energy and Commerce's budget reconciliation. More than 24 protesters stormed the Rayburn House office building in protest of cuts to Medicaid. These are some incredible pictures, too. Many of the protesters were in wheelchairs and filled the halls chanting for no cuts to be made to Medicaid. Confronting politicians, too, it looks like, directly. Protesters were wheeled away after they had blocked the entrance to the committee room. You can see them holding signs, too, about not cutting Medicaid here. Here's a tweet from Brian Allen. Protesters just stormed the Rayburn building during a congressional hearing on Medicaid cuts. Chaos in the halls, shouting, chanting, arrests threatened. This is what happens when you try to gut healthcare for millions while pretending it's fiscal responsibility. And you see some of the protesters here wearing shirts that say, hands off Medicaid. Another one here from Brian Allen. People aren't staying silent anymore. They're flooding the halls of power because these cuts aren't about budgets. They're about cruelty. Reaction to the protest has been mixed, with many criticizing the hypocrisy of the protest. Buckle up, y'all. Buckle up. We got some unhinged right-wing responses here. A guy by the name of Ryan Petty, which is quite an appropriate last name, he says, so it's okay to disrupt official proceedings now? Yes. Yes, it is. What you are protesting matters. He's, of course, referencing January 6th. On January 6th, they were trying to steal an election and destroy democracy. That is bad. These people are trying to save Medicaid to make sure that low-income people and disabled people don't die. That's good. Okay? So yes. Yes, it is now okay to disrupt a proceeding because they're disrupting for a good reason. Clear enough? We have another right-wing asshole who says, lock them all up. He's very threatened by the low-income people in wheelchairs. Protests have erupted across the United States over the proposed cuts to Medicaid, with demonstrators across the country blasting the Trump administration. By the way, I should point out, this is actually super important. This segment, which we're going through, is from Sky News Australia. So you're getting better coverage from foreign outlets than you are from U.S. outlets. There's a real, hey, don't rock the boat approach here, where this isn't getting talked about a lot. Because this truly is, this budget, this reconciliation bill, these cuts would destroy so many lives. So many lives. And it's like, shh, here it's like, shh. But there, you have other countries honestly talking about what's happening. House Republicans have continued to advance their bill to fund Trump's agenda to cut Medicaid and implement new restrictions. By the way, it did advance out of committee since this came out. Hundreds have gathered outside the National Institutes of Health in the U.S. state of Maryland to protest these cuts to healthcare and research. That's Senator Alsobrooks here, Senator Alsobrooks, yeah. Demonstrators are calling for U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to step down. He should step down for about 70 different reasons.
Hundreds of people have gathered outside the National Institute of Health in the U.S. state of Maryland to protest cuts to healthcare and research.
Maryland.
Demonstrators are calling for U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to step down.
This raucous crowd brought signs and chants.
Take our pay!
upset with cuts to healthcare and its researchers.
Just last week, the administration released a budget proposing 40% cuts to the NIH. But we will not give up.
Outside the National Institutes of Health.
By the way, these NIH cuts have been absolutely devastating. Now they're putting it in the budget. But remember, it was Elon Musk and Doge that illegally started slashing NIH funding left and right. Again, completely illegal, completely unconstitutional. Every court that's looked at it said you can't do these cuts. But effectively, they were cutting things like pediatric cancer research on a whim. They were cutting these long-term studies about diabetes and Alzheimer's and all this grant money that goes to universities, which do the work, which gets us the medicines of the next generation. They were just slashing all of it left and right.
Current employees shared their story.
I am hiding my face and name to lower the risk of retaliation for myself and my colleagues.
This employee says she's already seen cuts in funding and the workforce that have affected this agency's research.
I do not even know the entire list of colleagues that I've lost.
She's responsible for this vigil that sits just outside NIH's front doors every weekend.
It just sends home the point that the cost of this is human lives.
She's hoping her message and those who support it brings change.
It's hard to come to work in the morning because every day there's some new thing that stands in the way of us doing what we're here to do. We are all here because we believe in the mission, because we want to help people.
I am sick of it. Sick of it.
Senator Angela Alsobrooks joined in the chorus of complaints and decided to take action against the Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Right now, I'm announcing that as of this Monday, I will be filing a Senate resolution of disapproval, and I'm calling on Senate Secretary Kennedy to resign.
America's exceptionalism is based on our strength as a science powerhouse, and the cuts from at NIH and other places literally are making us sicker.
And employees say they won't stand for it.
When we can't do our jobs here at NIH, people suffer, lives are lost, health is lost.
As for the weekly vigil, organizers say they will meet right here every Saturday at 11 a.m. until they say losses are restored.
God bless these people. The Republicans are just craven, nihilistic demons. Every single positive thing that our government does, those are the things they want to get rid of. They talk about spending cuts, then they propose a $1.1 trillion Pentagon budget. $1.1 trillion. The Pentagon failed 7 audits in a row. They can't account for over 60% of their money. This is nothing but military-industrial complex slop. It's to give Raytheon and Boeing and Honeywell and companies like that more money, unlimited money, basically, while at the same time saying, sorry, got to cut back on pediatric cancer research. Sorry, got to cut back on Meals on Wheels and home heating assistance. Sorry, are you in a wheelchair? Do you depend on Medicaid in order to survive? Well, what if I said fuck off and die? What about that? That's where we are now, guys. In fact, here I have another. This was from the protest inside the committee room. Here we go. Watch this.
You look at me, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. How have you cut all these cuts? How the hell would I be able to shop at that store?
I love the soulless faces that the Republican politicians are making. By the way, it was a disabled HIV-positive woman from Ohio had a full-blown meltdown on Capitol Hill because she's fighting for her life. Quote, "You look at me," she screamed. "You will kill me." Olga from Youngstown pays $10,000 a month for the meds keeping her alive. Congress didn't care. They looked away. I mean, literally, guys, this is actually life and death. It really is that simple. It really is that straightforward. It sounds hyperbolic. It's not at all hyperbolic. I really don't. The Republicans don't care, but they also don't know how this country works. They also don't know how vital and crucial our meager social safety net is for so many people. So here's how they're talking about it at the moment. This is Steve Scalise. Here's how they're talking about Medicaid at the moment. At the same time, they are gutting healthcare. Watch.
But we do put some constraints in place in terms of work requirements and say, if somebody's able-bodied and they can go get a job and they're living in their mom's basement playing video games, I'm sorry, you got to go get a job. This program was designed for the truly needy.
We've now been hearing this a lot, right? They lie and go, bro, we're not cutting the program. All we're doing is saying, you have to have a job, and if you don't have a job, sorry, you don't get any health care. Think about how disgusting that is, right? It presupposes that everybody that doesn't have a job is because of their own personal moral failings. It's because of their lack of character. It's because of their lack of integrity and hard work. Okay, you dipshit. Well, how about when we have a giant recession, when the economy goes south and unemployment spikes to 10%, and in reality, when it's 10%, it really is 20% because the way they calculate the unemployment rate is all wrong. So when you have 2 out of 10 people not working, what, they just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to embrace my inner laziness and I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to sit on my couch and eat cookie dough ice cream and watch reruns of sitcoms. No, there are macroeconomic factors which can screw people over, and people can lose their jobs through no fault of their own. In fact, it's when you lose your job is when you need help the most with something like healthcare. Imagine just ripping away people's healthcare that casually, that willy-nilly. And by the way, all these fucking assholes are totally useless. If they weren't in Congress, what the fuck do you think they would be doing? Right? Like, are you kidding me? Most of them would be unemployed. If you want to talk about actual useless people, it's them. Most regular people in this country are busting their ass and working hard and trying to get by. And sometimes you fall on hard times. But here he is openly saying, like, yeah, if you don't have a job, fuck you. You shouldn't get Medicaid. Oh my God, that's so disgusting. By the way, also, this is something for the young men to remember, because I've heard different Republican politicians say one version or another of this, where they say specifically young unemployed men, that's who they want to make sure they can never get Medicaid. Young unemployed men. So, and that's, by the way, that's a demographic that Republicans have been surging with, but this is what they actually think of you, right? In every other developed country, you just have healthcare, full stop. You get sick, you get help, it's paid for by tax money, you don't even have to take your wallet out, that's it. Here, we don't have a system where everybody's covered. And furthermore, they go out of their way to say, oh, are you struggling? Oh, are you going through a hard time? Well, in that exact moment, when you need the help the most, that's when I'm going to rip it away. These truly are demons, man. These people are demons. And by the way, not a single one of them has a problem with Elon Musk, the world's richest billionaire robber baron. He took $38 billion in government money. $38 billion. Are they saying, hey, man, you got to return that shit? What the fuck's wrong with you? No, because he gets to be a lazy welfare queen and do whatever the fuck he wants. And he gets to rob the taxpayers and they support it. But you, God forbid, you get healthcare to the tune of like a couple $100 or a couple $1,000. Sorry, you can't have it. How about you get sick and die? How about you get no help at all? God, these people are just fucking demonic. They truly are. No Medicaid cuts. No Medicaid cuts. Fight every single step of the way. Fight. I love that they're protesting once a week. I love that people are out there. Hey, you want to know the impact of what you're doing? Go ahead. I want you to look in the eyes of one of these low-income people in a wheelchair who needs Medicaid to survive. Look them in the eyes and listen to their story. And then go cast your fucking demon vote. God, I hate these people. All right, man. That's the show, y'all. You know the drill. Everybody, please click like, click subscribe. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. Thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. I couldn't do it without you. That link is below if you'd like to give $2 a month or $5 a month or whatever it is. You could also tip with that thanks button on YouTube. Remember, I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. This is true independent media. You can also support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below as well. And of course, go subscribe to the Corin's World YouTube channel where we've been posting Kyle and Corin's every week. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Peace. Hey, y'all. Do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.